twist around. Good news. Welcome back to another day off. Today we're going to be kicking it off, pulling codes, going over a cold start on this vehicle, diagnosing the breather, smoke testing the intake, pressure testing the cooling system, maybe doing a compression test while it's hot. First things first, let's get inside, let's pull the codes. I know you guys were curious about it. Alright, so we got a 174, 2 lean bank 2, misfire detected with low fuel, misfire cylinder number 4, misfire 6, misfire 5, misfire 1, evap system, no flow or a huge leak, system 2 lean bank 1, fuel control limit, mixture 2 lean, mixture 2 lean, misfire, misfire. So overall, we're looking at lean codes as well as some misfires chopped in, so a lot of things are pointing towards that CCV. Let's take a closer look. Start with a cold start. Real chunky idle. So here I have a manometer. I used to use this at my old BMW shop, and what we do is we have all the engine designations for the different BMWs. We have here, let's see, M52, M54 right up here at the top. Standard spec is about 16 millibar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this engine running. We're going to pull the oil cap. I'm going to put my manometer onto the oil cap. We used to make these at the shop too. It's got a little nipple drilled into an old oil cap. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be measuring that crankcase vacuum to see if that breather's still healthy. Thank you to everybody who recommended the CCV. I can't believe that I didn't recommend it in my last video or talk about it. Not just potential valve seals or piston rings, but we're definitely looking at a CCV issue potentially for the smoke issue too. So let's get this on and check it out. So it has extremely low vacuum, only 1.2 millibar up to 2 millibars, so this thing probably just has a horrendous vacuum leak somewhere. So based off what we're seeing with the codes, as well as how this thing is running, it's probably got a massive vacuum leak somewhere, or a failed breather, cyclonic oil separator, CCV, whatever you want to call it. Next thing I want to do is I want to get this air box out. We're going to put on my smoke tester and we'll start checking for any intake leaks, see if we can find anything, really apparent. I love this tool. It's one of the best tools I got. It was only $100, so I'll put the link down below for the Amazon item, and you guys can pick one up if you're interested. Now, while we are searching for an intake leak on this thing, we do know that we have a good leak coming from the valve cover gasket. That will affect things. I mean, we have those oil saturated coils in there, so ideally what we'd like to find is maybe a torn or severely broken vacuum line, maybe a component to the breather. It could just be that the diaphragm is torn on the breather as well, causing this smoke issue, but it would be nice to see if we can find some external leaks. Well, believe it or not, our first vacuum leak showing is actually from cylinders 3 and 4 on that valve cover gasket, leaking down into those ignition coil boots. Pretty substantial vacuum leak, being that they're leaking out the valve cover gasket, but that just goes to show you that a leaking valve cover gasket can be a vacuum leak if it is severe enough. So definitely on the top of our list is to get that valve cover gasket replaced and get some new coil boots, keep those spark plugs from getting oil saturated. So I'm waiting to hear back about some parts, but I figured we could pressure test the cooling system. Previous owner said that the vehicle was showing signs that it was overheating. However, cooling system level is good, even after sitting for so long. Got the car up to temp and it didn't budge either. So just for good measure, put some PSI into this cooling system, see if we have any weak points. All right, we got about 16 to 17 PSI in it. Everything that I've seen so far, it looks tight. I haven't seen any evidence of any coolant stains. The water pipes actually look decent. Upper and lower radiator hose look good. Back heater hoses look good. Yeah, I really haven't seen anything that would indicate a coolant leak on this yet. But just for some peace of mind, wanted to put some pressure in it. So we'll see if she drops. Let's take a look at the bottom of the thermostat. Looks like the thermostat has a slow trickle. Let's see if I can show you guys the thermostat leak. Looks like there's a little trickle of water right up top. You can see right there behind the connector. That connector out of the way. So you have a little bit of a coolant leak on top of the housing. It's starting to create a little trickle. You can also see there's some wetness down there. I saw a drop come from it. So bottom of the thermostat, top of the thermostat, definitely both leaking. So we can add thermostat to the list. All right, y'all, we are back at it with the 2002 E46 5-speed manual. We just got a bunch of parts in the mail. We're going to be doing the valve cover gasket today. I smoke tested it the other day, and the valve cover gasket was the main leak. It was the only leak that I could see as far as the intake and pressurizing the engine with smoke goes. I got a box full of parts here I can show you. Products came in from ECS Tuning. We got a breather kit in here. We have a new thermostat. We have a new water pump, both belts. We also have upper and lower coolant hoses. We have a fuel filter. We have a auxiliary fan switch for the lower hose. What else we got? We got valve cover grommets, ignition coil boots, spark plugs. Let's see, gasket kit. So we got some parts to throw at this thing. First things first, we're going to be doing the valve cover gasket, seeing how it runs after that, as well as taking out the idle air control valve, giving that a cleaning. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a cold start, see how it runs, firing up cold, and then we're going to tear into this valve cover. So, besides it loping like that, it's running pretty good on cold start. Let's unplug the mass airflow sensor and see how it runs. Well, it barely wants to run. It's loping. Unplugging the mass airflow sensor makes no change. I'm going to spray out the idle air control valve today and see if that makes any difference. I'm going to start today off with getting that IAC out and giving it a cleaning. Oh, guys, that pin was about to come out. Now, I don't know if I can glue it or what I should do, but oh, folks, that pin was sitting just like that, about to back out. So it's a good thing we pulled this DISA out of there. Alright, well, the intake boot looks okay so far. The turkey neck, no punctures, rips, or tears yet, but we are putting on a new one because this thing's pretty tired. But it's still sealed, still holding vacuum. Alright, moment of truth. Thumper valve is locked up. So let's try to spray this out. Maybe we can revive it. Next, let's try some lubricant. We'll try some Tri-Flow. It's almost there. It wants to shake. Hey. That's what we're looking for. Alright guys, really good news. This thing was locked up solid. And we hit it with some lubricant. Oh yeah. We hit it with some lubricant and we broke the roller assembly loose. Try to give you the best chance of seeing possible. It's a pretty tight fit, but this spins and limits flow. And yeah, that shit was just seized up. Now we can put this thing back in the car. I'm probably going to put the intake boots back on it just to see how it can idle. See if that idle gets fixed up from this idle air control valve. So, good news. Also, I need to figure out what to do with this DISA valve. Closer look over here on the toolbox. This pin was backed out to right there. And that thing was set to fall out. I was able to push it in and snug it up, but that is just sketchy. I'm going to have to get a repair kit. I think I'm just going to put it back in for the sake of running it to see if that IAC fixed up a majority of the idle issue, but I'll be pulling it right back out and definitely not running this permanently. I have to get this repaired, or this pin drops out, falls into the intake valves, you are royally screwed. So much better now. We'll reuse these old intake boots for the time being, because we're going to be putting freshies on later on. For hose clamps, I always try to snug them by hand too. Just with this ratcheting screwdriver, it's pretty hard to put too much force on it. With the lack of leverage a little ratcheting screwdriver like this has. Spider webs and all. because I just want to get this in to test it. That's all we're doing, is we're just testing. All right, DISA valve. Stay in there, pin. Okay, plug the DISA back in. Plug this puppy back in. All right, cool. Now we can give it a start, see how it runs with the IAC being resolved. Idle air control valve. All right, let's see how she runs. Hopefully that Lopi idle got fixed. Oh yeah. Much better. It's still running like it's got a vacuum leak, but it's not dropping off, wanting to choke and die out. Oh, so much better already, guys. That was a great thing to look at. And I always shake them when I pull them out, but thank you to the viewer who commented to look at the idle air control valve, because it slipped my mind. I haven't gotten it out to shaking it yet, and what a difference. All right, y'all, so we made some great progress by cleaning up that idle air control valve. The idle has increased and improved dramatically. I'm really happy with it. It still has that light stumbly bumbliness going on from vacuum leaks. Like I showed you at the beginning, that vacuum leak from the valve cover is substantial. So what I'd like to do next is tear into the valve cover, get that resealed, and while we're in there, we'll replace the ignition coil boots and the spark plugs. And so that end of the engine will be real tidied up. I can't really go further until I get those cylinders sealed up that we're dumping all that oil down into the spark plugs. So next, let's get torn in onto this side and we'll get the valve cover knocked out. Ooh, that breather hose is fragile. Can feel it. It feels super crispy. Hey, not too bad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse after how severe it was last time. 8mm. Okay, now that that's DC'd, we can pop the clips on the ignition coil harness and get that out of the way. That makes life easier. We'll get these O2 sensor connectors out of the way as well. That's not where that goes. Alrighty. Get that out of the way. Get these wires off the valve cover. Like that. Just get them loose. Okay. Now we can take these guys off. These other 8mm for these ground straps. And this one. Get that out. This thing should come up easy. Well, here's our issue, guys. Check that out. That was, it's straight molded in that shape. See that imprint right there? Someone installed this valve cover gasket, rolled this interior piece, and bolted it up. So this was completely ungasketed the entire time. This was pressed over. So this valve cover gasket was not sealed down at all. And it was just dumping oil into cylinders 2 and 3 because this wasn't sealed up properly. Check that out. So that was just due to somebody screwing up. Good thing we're doing this. Because, man, always double check your gaskets before you snug the valve cover down. I always like to look down the spark plug tubes and make sure I can see rubber on all 6. Wow. Crazy. Well, let's get the rest of this cleaned up real quick. Guys, that's really good news for us. I thought the valve cover may be cracked. Someone just screwed up when they did the valve cover gasket. Dab her up with some Curl Tea real quick. Had to put a little extra glue down to keep the gasket in place. I can see the gasket on all 6 cylinders. Again, always check the rear with a mirror. Gasket looks good. I'm happy with that. Now we need to knock out some of these bolts. We renewed all of our grommets. All right, let's get these old spark plugs out of here. Pretty smoked. These are our replacement plugs here. It's a Bosch Platinum. It's a 7DQP Plus. FGR 7DQP Plus. It's factory OE coil. Or plug. We have Bosch coils, so I'm going to use Bosch plugs. I usually use NGKs though. All right, you guys are right. I put fresh batteries in the torque wrench. I didn't do the valve cover, but I'll torque the spark plugs for you. You guys make me a better mechanic. 28 Newton meters. All right, we also got new coil boots. Here's your Bosch part number. In case you're curious, we got 6 new coil boots. So we're going to be taking these plugs, or these coils, one by one, popping these off, slapping a new one on, till it clips. All right, y'all, we just finished the valve cover reseal. We also put some new spark plugs in it. We put some new coil boots in it. We fixed that idle air control valve. Let's see how she runs. Oh my goodness. That is so smooth. Guys, I don't even think this car needs a breather. Had to open up the garage there, but listen to how good this thing is running. I haven't done the oil change on it yet, but that thing is back to sewing machine. Wow, it is running really good. Let's take a look at the exhaust. It hasn't been smoking, which is great. After running it that first day, let me get the mic up there for you. It sounds pretty cherry, guys. You can rev it up a little bit. Let's see how she does. Sounds like it could use some power steering fluid. Take another look. That pump's noisy. Just a tip. When I'm turning it, it's a little tight. Guys, this thing is running cherry. I don't even really think I need to tear into the breather, but I'm going to, just to get it really mint, because I'd like to turn this car into my new daily driver. And I'm planning on selling my other 330i. So a lot of you guys have been asking about this car and whether I want to sell it. I'm more interested in selling this 330i. It's the video I did, my very first video. My $500 junker to daily driver. It's a 5-speed automatic. But I'll give you a tour and we'll do another video for selling it. But man, oh man, I am real happy with that. Some fresh oil, fresh breather. This thing is going to be choice. Hell yeah. That's it for today, guys. I'm really happy with how this thing's running. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to tear into the breather and the intake side. And then after that, we'll tear into the interior and the exterior and get this thing choice and roadworthy again. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next day off.